Okay, so Ethereum, I'm really sorry. Here we go. We'll start now. How's everyone doing? Okay, so we've had a really nasty sell-off last night. I really hope that people who were late buyers of Ethereum used stops or used exits or got out because, you know, being offside in a position isn't always really, for me personally, it's never helped me make good trading decisions. So we're clearly, you know, on our way to retest the lows or a little bit lower in Ethereum. And until the downswing is over, we really can't say what's going to go on. I see a couple of people on Twitter saying, oh, we're going to go to 120 and we're going to go to 180 next, and picking numbers. And I'm not sure. For me, if we had gone into a solid downtrend in Ethereum, we would have broken this 4-hour 200 moving average and we would have stayed below it and found resistance. That would have been a downtrend to me. What's happened here is we've bounced really sharply and bunched all the moving averages up, and they're still flat. That means it's sideways consolidation, and really until it breaks, until it, you know, we're trading within that consolidation range, which is a cool skill to learn to do, but it's quite hard for new investors and traders to learn. So let's try and make some sense of it. Now, in this entire rally in Ethereum, you can see that we found support exactly at 50% of the entire rally. So I'll show you that. If I put my Fibonacci tool on the lows, this is the line, this is the lows, and I change it to 50%. 50% is where we found support. So we had a bit of a spike through. Ultimately, you know, 50% halfway back is where we found support, and halfway back is very common. So we've had this really sharp rally. Most moves in a market are usually 3 waves, one up, one down, and one up again. So in this rally we've had one up, now we're looking at one down, and we've gone through the 50% a bit here. I think we might go a little bit lower to the 61.8, which is also very common. But so here or hereabouts, if we're going to make another wave higher, there might be some support. And if I go down to a 1 hour time frame, last night Rachel asked about ABCs and equal measured moves. Where we are at the moment, you can see that's the first swing lower. If I move my trend line, this is the next swing lower. You can see that we're there or thereabouts for an ABC correction. So if this move lower is a correction, it also lines up with this low and this high, sort of roughly. So if this swing is a correction, there's a good chance that Ethereum turns up from here. But we have to wait and see. On all our hourly signals and all our 15 minutes, we are in the hole. So what would we need to see when we come back tonight? Well, we need to have seen it, found some support here, bounced hard, come back, retested, pulled the moving averages down, and ready to roll them up again. So no buy this morning in Ethereum, but we will take a look tonight, and it might, so that's where it might, in an ABC correction, find some support. But what also is very, you know, there's a very, you'll hear eventually people talk about double tops and double bottoms. What that means is that the levels get retested. So all the big players who didn't get to buy down here around, you know, 220, 225 in Ethereum on the drop, they'll push it all the way back down there and load up again. And that's quite common as well. So it might be that we come all the way back to these lows and retest them, just like that we did on a smaller scale when we first bottomed there. It might be that we see another retest of that low. So until we get a buy signal in Ethereum, there's really nothing to buy. If people are shorting it, then if you're doing it on a 15-minute, this is how our strategy looks if we're sellers, or if you turn your chart upside down. So the moving averages bunch up, draw a line around the highs and lows. We wait for them to cross. We get a sell signal here. This is a 15-minute. So I'm just telling you how this would look for sellers, because it helps us exits too, right? So we get the CCI cross, we break down, the 20 crosses below the 50, we're below the 200, and we sell. If you miss that first one, you can take these little bounces. There's little bounces back to the 20, okay? And you put your stop always above that 20 moving average and let it follow you down. So the next time we consolidate down here, okay, we come back to the center line on the CCI, we come back and touch the 20 moving average, and then we sell again. So we bounce off that center line on the CCI again, and then here is another sell entry. So if you're short term trading this on a 15-minute, you wait for the consolidation, retouch the 20 moving average, sell again, bounce off the center line on the CCI. So those are the triggers. You need to come back to the 20 moving average, break the consolidation, and bounce off the center line. And if we put our Heikinshi on, you will see. So when you're selling, you sell after green. So you get a couple of green candles, then you sell the breakdown with a CCI cross, a couple of green candles, wait for it to come back to the center line, which we do here, and then sell again, back to the center line, some green candles, touch the 20 moving average, sell again. So that's how our strategy looks as sellers. Unfortunately, most people here, I think, are waiting to be buyers. So what do we need to see? So the first thing that we're going to see that says that this downtrend is over is we're going to see back above that 20 moving average and this fail. So what we're setting up to do now is bounce back and retest that 20 moving average. And if we get back above it, then you can say there's a change of behavior. We're not in a downtrend anymore. We're going to consolidate. We're going to go sideways, flatten those moving averages, bunch them all up again, and then we can have a go at bottoming. But until then, we are still in a downtrend, potentially at some support, but in a downtrend. And Bitcoin is exactly the same. Couldn't get above this moving average, couldn't get above this 50 and the 200, which we needed to do. Well, I'm looking at the 4 hour of Bitcoin, and didn't even get to touch the trend line. More consolidation. It's you know, it's not the end of the world unless Bitcoin breaks these lows. On the daily, you know, we're really contained between the two big moving averages. So the lows are the 50 moving average and the highs are the 20. And when we break out from this range on the daily, we'll know which way we're going. If the 50 breaks and if we break this trend line, then we at least will be looking for that full ABC correction that I talked about. It's going to come down to here about 1,923. I think it's around 1,920, depending how you measure it. I probably haven't done it quite right. So, and if you don't know how to use that tool, just draw a simple trend line, measure it like that, and move it and project it from that high. So that's what will happen. That's the first base, and that's kind of these high here, this low. So if Bitcoin has a daily close below the 50 moving average, that will be our next support. Quite likely, you know, we'll take some time then there and wait for this 200 moving average to catch up, or potentially we could come a bit lower to 1800, which is those previous highs here. Nothing to trade, I'm afraid, in Bitcoin. Stratis. On the 4 hour, we failed. You know, these moving averages are all lined up bearish in Stratis. Pink below the 20, below the 50, below the 200, and we failed at the trend line. We just couldn't get above it. So for Stratis, I think, unless we kind of just go sideways here, if we lose that low from yesterday, if we lose that low, we're going to come all the way back and retest this bottom support here at 222. So quite often though, and remember this, third touches of trend lines quite often are false breaks. So I would not be surprised if Stratis comes back here and dips a little bit below to try and trick everybody short or to cover and then bounce hard. So that's what we could see in Stratis if it doesn't hold on. But really, you know, it's bunched up really tight and needs to make a decision. It could hold on here on the hourly though. So if we don't hold on here, we're going to come back all the way down here. Really, there's no, for me, and I really like Stratis. I like the story. You know, I would like to buy this. But for me, I need to see it base and turn up and get back above these hourly moving averages. And then we can say, oh, we're going back to the 200, which is up here, 272. And then we're breaking out. But until it shows some signs and gets above, and you see each time the last 2 days in Stratis, this is your clue, look. I'm going to make this thicker. This 50 hourly 50 moving average, it never managed to sustain above it. So when you see it go above, we should have found support and continued higher. We didn't. We got back below, then we came back and retested it, failed, came back and retested it. Yeah, we did spike above it, but we could not, you know, use Heikin-Ashi, you'll see we couldn't close above it. It just held us down. And so this, for me, the next time we go above it, I'd like to see it above it and then come back and find support and keep going higher. And then that says to me the downtrend is over. Okay, Litecoin. So Litecoin and Bitcoin, I've noticed, are very correlated. So when whatever Bitcoin does, Litecoin does. And so in Litecoin here, so this is an hourly. Let's take a quick look at the 4 hour first to make sure we're not getting our 4 hour 20 and 50 say we're bearish, but we're above this 200 where we found support quite nicely. So we're not really in a downtrend, we're in a correction. And as long as we're above this 200, we're in a correction, not a downtrend. When we get below it, then we have started a downtrend on the 4 hour. On the hourly, potentially we could be starting a downtrend. And this is why? Because we're below all of the moving averages and they're in order. And we're coming back to test the decision play. So we're going to keep going lower. If so, this is where we're going to do it. So these are the previous lows. This is resistance. This is the 20 moving average here. This is the center line we're about to come back and check. So just like Bitcoin, we're in a place where is this just a, you know, overlapping correction? Which to me it looks like, you know, in a trend, okay, you make strong moves and then the bounces don't come back and overlap the previous low. In this down move, this looks corrective to me because these waves overlap each other. What we should have seen is a strong down move and then a rally, and then a strong down move, and then the rally doesn't come back into those previous lows. This is choppy and overlapping, and so it says to me that it's just a correction. And potentially, you know, this might happen because everybody's been looking for this breakout. Everybody's looking for this long, and if too many people pile in, then that's what the problem is. Okay.